Today we will talk about Jesus, an inspiring and relatable story. Have you ever wondered what the life of Jesus really means and how his example can help you not only understand the world, but also transform your life? Jesus is not just a character in history. He is a bridge between the earthly and the divine, between our daily struggles and infinite hope. In this video, we will take you on a fascinating journey through the life of Jesus, full of details that will make you see him from a unique perspective, close and inspiring. Get ready to immerse yourself in an experience that celebrates the humanity and divinity of Jesus, while leaving us with valuable lessons to apply in our daily lives. Stay until the end because we are going to share a moral that will make you reflect deeply on your purpose and the small things with which you can illuminate the world. Today we present Who Was Jesus? An inspiring and relatable story. It all begins in a small corner of the world, Bethlehem. Mary, a humble young woman, receives a visit from an angel who gives her the greatest news she could ever imagine. She will be the mother of the Son of God. Incredible, isn't it? But also terrifying. This reminds us that even the biggest missions begin with an act of faith. Joseph, her husband, also needs to trust. Despite his initial doubts, he decides to walk alongside Mary in this divine task. And there you see them, setting out on that long journey to Bethlehem, without luxuries, without ornaments, only with love and hope. But here is what breaks the mold. Jesus is born in a stable, in the most absolute humility. Shepherds and magi visit him, symbolizing how bridges are built between the simplest and the most erudite. This moment teaches us that in the eyes of God, value is not in what we possess, but in what we are. Can you imagine what it would be like to grow up as Jesus? The Bible doesn't give us many details about his childhood, but we know he had a quiet life, learning his father's trade and displaying extraordinary wisdom from the beginning. At age 12, during a visit to the temple in Jerusalem, he surprises the teachers with his knowledge. This episode not only highlights his connection with God, but also his passion for learning and teaching. Then the story jumps ahead. As an adult, Jesus meets John the Baptist, who baptizes him in the Jordan River. Here begins his public mission. This moment is a key reminder. Purpose often comes not all at once, but when we are ready, internally prepared to embrace it. One of the most important moments in Jesus' story was the choice of his disciples. Why did he choose fishermen, tax collectors, and ordinary people? Because he knew that the extraordinary can emerge from the ordinary. He taught them, guided them, and above all, motivated them to see the world through different eyes of service, love, and dedication. These men were not perfect figures, and that was part of the plan. They show us that anyone can be called to something greater. Jesus didn't just teach, he acted. He did things that left others speechless. His first miracle, turning water into wine at a wedding, not only saved a celebration, but also showed how God cares about our everyday joys. Later, he fed thousands with just a few loaves and fish. He displayed his power to care and bless even in the most impossible circumstances. And that's not to mention moments like the resurrection of Lazarus. Here, Jesus not only demonstrated his power over death, but also his compassion and empathy. He was a leader who wept with those who suffered, something that makes him closer to us. Perhaps the most inspiring thing about Jesus were his words. In the Sermon on the Mount, he taught us to love our enemies, to be humble, and to forgive. Isn't that an incredible challenge in the 21st century? Then there are the parables, narratives filled with wisdom. For example, in the parable of the Good Samaritan, we learn that true love transcends any social or cultural barriers. And in the parable of the prodigal son, we are reminded that there is always a way back, no matter how far we have gone. These teachings are not just ancient stories, but living lessons that we can apply today. Though he was divine, Jesus was also human, and that makes him all the more inspiring. He showed compassion, patience, and yes, even a sense of humor in his interactions. Remember how he sometimes laughed at the disciples for not understanding his teachings right away? His humanity reminds us that it is possible to walk with God while still being authentic. Jesus' life was not without trials. His message was not always well received, especially by the religious leaders of his time. They saw him as a threat to their power and misinterpreted him. The betrayal of Judas, a close friend, and the denials of Peter, his faithful follower, are examples of how pain and disappointment are part of the journey. Yet Jesus kept going, showing that love always has the last word. The Last Supper is a moment that encapsulates Jesus' entire mission. By breaking the bread and sharing the wine, he leaves an unbreakable legacy. Do this in memory of me. That same night in the Garden of Gethsemane, we see him praying with a powerful intensity. He is shown to be vulnerable, human, aware of the pain that is to come, but also determined to fulfill his purpose. His death on the cross is the ultimate act of love. It was not just a physical sacrifice, but a sign of redemption for all humanity. But the story does not end at the cross. 3 days later, the unexpected happens. The tomb is empty. Jesus has risen. This moment reminds us that hope never dies, even in the darkest moments. Before ascending to heaven, Jesus leaves a clear mission: love one another as I have loved you. This command still resonates as a call to transform the world through the simplest acts of kindness. If there is one thing that Jesus' life teaches us, it is the power of love, forgiveness, and faith. He showed us how to face adversity with grace and how to find purpose in serving others. Today, let's take a moment to reflect. Are we living up to those values? Every small act of love, every choice of compassion over judgment, brings us closer to that full and meaningful life Jesus taught us. Did you know that you too have a purpose? It can start with small gestures, a kind word, a smile, an act of generosity. Because if there's one thing Jesus taught us, it's that we don't need to be perfect to be instruments of change. Every act of kindness we perform reflects our love for our neighbor and invites us to build a more compassionate and hopeful world. This story teaches us that the true purpose of life lies in loving, serving, and finding hope in our daily actions. It also inspires us to be agents of change, promoting love and hope through every compassionate action we take. On this journey of life, let us remember that every compassionate action counts and that love can transform hearts, creating a world full of hope. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Jesus. We hope you have found inspiration not only in his story, but also in what you can do with it in your life. Every action counts, and every day is an opportunity to spread love and compassion, creating a positive impact in the lives of those around us. Share it, reflect on it, and keep moving forward each day with hope. Until next time, and remember, love always has the last word. Transform your life. Discover a journey of self-improvement, spiritual growth, and motivation.